She fell midair during a Cirque du Soleil act. Her body slammed the stage, dying from blunt trauma, as the crowd gasped in horror.
She was screaming as she was falling down. It was sort of out of a movie where she was just trying to grab for anything.
A teen couple, thrilled on their first date, sped off after a police warning, only to crash moments later in a deadly wreck.
Yo, this is the same kid. Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh.
Julie van Espen, de studente van 23 die al 2 dagen vermist was, is dood, vermoord en meteen gedumpt in het Albertkanaal.
And one young girl was strangled to death after fighting off a sexual assault, her final breaths stolen in silence.
Dat meisje moet... Die heeft dat niet verdiend ook niet.
These aren't just tragic ends. They're the worst, most haunting ways young lives have been lost. This is Worst Ways Young People Have Died, Part 4.
Fatal accident at the Cirque du Soleil in Las Vegas, a veteran performer plunging to her death.
What happens when the wonder of live performance collides with the horror of real-life tragedy? It was June 29th, 2013, at the MGM Grand in Las Vegas. The audience was spellbound, awaiting the grand finale of Cirque du Soleil's most daring production. 31-year-old Sarah Guillard-Guillot, a celebrated acrobat, beloved coach, and mother of 2, prepared to ascend nearly 100 feet above the stage, embodying a fearless warrior in the show's epic battle. She had trained for years, performed this routine countless times, but on this night, the unimaginable unfolded. As Sarah began her ascent, suspended by a wire rope, disaster struck. In a split second, her rapid movement caused the cable to slip free from its pulley. The wire scraped against a sharp edge, severing instantly. Sarah, still harnessed, plummeted 94 feet into the deep stage pit, vanishing from sight. For a moment, the audience believed it was part of the act, until the music stopped and the chilling reality set in as screams echoed through the theater.
She was screaming as she was falling down. It was sort of out of a movie where she was just trying to grab for anything.
Backstage, chaos erupted. Cast and crew rushed to her aid, but her injuries were catastrophic. Sarah was transported to the hospital, but nothing could be done. She was pronounced dead that night, leaving behind 2 young children, ages 5 and 8, and a devastated artistic community. The official investigation by Nevada OSHA revealed a tragic chain of failures, insufficient training, flawed safety protocols, and a critical lack of oversight. Both Cirque du Soleil and the MGM Grand were cited for safety violations. This was the first on-stage fatality in Cirque du Soleil's storied history. Sarah Guillard-Guillot was more than an artist. She was a mentor, a mother, a beacon of inspiration. Her untimely death is a haunting reminder. In the pursuit of breathtaking artistry, danger is never far away, and sometimes the safety net is only an illusion. On August 4th, 2021 in North Bergen, New Jersey, 2 young lives collided with fate on what should have been the beginning of something beautiful. 24-year-old Luis Fernando Ceballos and 27-year-old Alexis Rodriguez, strangers just hours before, were on their very first date, laughter and nerves filling the air as they drove through the night in a brand new 2022 Kia Stinger. But the night took a sharp turn just before 2 a.m. Officer John Nunez pulled them over at 61st Street and Kennedy Boulevard. The reason? Excessive speed, reckless driving, running a red light, and driving after hours on a provisional license. Alexis in the passenger seat admitted softly,
All right, man. Here's your documents.
I'm sorry, we're on our first date, me and her.
That's fine.
She blamed herself for being in a rush, but the officer reassured her. It's not your fault, but almost getting killed is not the way to have a first date. Luis was issued 3 citations and sternly warned, go straight home. You're going to hurt yourself or someone else. The moment was tense, but calm, just a brush with danger, or so it seemed. Minutes later, the unthinkable. At 2:13 a.m. on Tunnel Avenue beneath the Patterson Plank Road overpass, Luis's Kia, traveling at a staggering 124 miles per hour, just seconds before slammed into a tractor trailer crossing the road. The car dove under the trailer in a violent underride crash. The roof was sheared off, the wreckage hurled 30 to 40 feet down the pavement. In an instant, both Luis and Alexis were gone. The truck driver survived, but the trauma of that split-second horror will never leave him. Officer Nunez arrived at the scene, only to realize with heartbreak, it was the same couple he'd just tried to save.
Yo, this is the same kid. Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh.
The community was left reeling. Luis charismatic, full of life. Alexis loving, adventurous, the light of every room. Both with futures abruptly stolen, both remembered as so much more than victims. Their story is a chilling echo. Sometimes the end comes not with a warning, but with silence. One decision, one risk, a few miles per hour too fast. No chase, no shootout. Just a night that spiraled into tragedy. They weren't criminals. They were young, hopeful, and gone too soon. And the world will never know what might have been. What if the very system meant to protect you is the reason you're not here? It was Saturday, May 4th, 2019. In Antwerp, Belgium, 23-year-old Julie Van Espen set out on her bike, dressed casually, earbuds in, gliding along the Albert Canal. She was on her way to meet friends for a night out, just another evening in a vibrant city. But Julie never arrived. On a quiet stretch of the canal path, she crossed paths with Steve Backelmans, a 39-year-old man who should have been behind bars. Years earlier, Backelmans had been convicted, not once but multiple times, for rape and violent offenses. In 2017, he was sentenced to 4 years in prison for raping his ex-girlfriend. But the court didn't order his immediate detention. He appealed, and the case languished, lost in a sea of staff shortages, court backlogs, and bureaucratic indifference. For nearly 2 years, he walked free. No monitoring, no warning, just freedom, courtesy of a system overwhelmed and under-resourced. That night, Backelmans attacked Julie. She fought back with everything she had. He beat her, strangled her, and dumped her body in the Albert Canal along with her bicycle and phone. For 2 days, she was missing, until her body was discovered in the water. The brutality of her murder sent shockwaves across Belgium. Julie's death ignited a firestorm, not just of grief but of outrage. How could a known predator, a repeat offender, be allowed to roam free? Why did bureaucratic delays and a lack of resources cost a young woman her life? Her family demanded answers. They didn't seek revenge, they wanted accountability. They launched Mission Julie, a campaign for justice system reform, determined that no other family should endure such loss. In December 2024, after years of legal battle, a Brussels court delivered a historic verdict. The Belgian state was liable for Julie's death. The errors and delays in Backelmans' case had deprived her family of a real chance to prevent the tragedy. The court awarded a symbolic €1 not for compensation, but for the truth. Days later, the Justice Ministry and Judiciary issued a formal apology, admitting their failures and the irreparable suffering inflicted on Julie's family. Julie was more than a headline. She was a university student, a daughter, a sister, someone who loved fashion, music, and life. Her friends remember her kindness, her parents, her fierce determination. And yet, she's gone.
Het is zo oneerlijk dat ik nu al afscheid van jou moet nemen. Waarom wordt het leven afgenomen van iemand die het meeste leefde?
Because a system built to protect her failed at every turn. Julie's story is a gut punch. It forces us to ask, how many lives have been lost to inefficiency, indifference, or red tape? And how many more will be, unless the system changes, before the next Julie Van Espen rides her bike into the wrong moment? Each of these young lives ended in ways too haunting to forget, through violence, poor choices, or sheer misfortune. Their stories leave behind aching questions. Could they have been saved? What warnings were ignored? And how do we prevent more names from being added to this list? The cruelty of fate is that it doesn't discriminate, and sometimes the worst tragedies happen to those with the most life ahead of them. Let us know which story struck you the hardest in the comments. And if you want to help shine a light on the fragile line between life and death, hit that like and subscribe. There's more to uncover and more stories to tell, because the truth deserves to be remembered. Stay curious, stay cautious, and stay with us.